I have all the feels. Hey, what's going on, B? Hey, I got all the feels right now. Oh my God. Like, I think I cried like three, four, I know I cried three, four times, and especially at the end. Um, whew, we needed this movie, the 6888. The timing is impeccable. I needed it. Brought out so many feels. And if you know, you know, I am so drained. I am so emotionally like tapped out ever since this election, and knowing what we are in for the next 4 years, um and knowing the attack that as a Black woman we have been under, period, for a very long time, but knowing that we're in a period, we're in a season where people who hate women and people who hate Blacks, and me being both, and knowing that these people are so empowered right now, they're so emboldened. Um, this is their time to shine. It has me so emotionally checked out and drained, so tired. Um, I'm over it. I'm over it. Like I don't even want to leave my house, and I haven't, unless I'm getting paid to go somewhere and it's worth it. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. Um, so many of us are done, and sitting here, I didn't want to watch the movie because I knew what it was about, and I really didn't think emotionally I can handle it. And I had some periods where emotionally it was hard to handle. I'm not going to give away the movie, but there were so many things that were so super relatable that touched me emotionally, spiritually, in so many ways. And even I think brought about a bit of vindication, a little bit of healing, a little bit of I see you. I felt like the movie the whole time was like a big I see you moment. I see you. We gonna be all right. You know, uh, just stay cool. We gonna be all right. It's a reminder that all things always work together for our good, no matter what. And we're thrown into situations that are beyond our control, where we are being constantly set up for failure in so many ways. When somebody else screws up the situation, and then we walk in and we're the ones that are the scapegoats. I mean, this is what it is to be woman, and this is what it is to be Black woman. It brought up so many memories of things that I buried because, as a woman, as a Black woman, I don't have time to sit and cry about it. I don't have time. I have to suck it up and keep going. I remember I was a senior in high school living in Oklahoma. I still to this day don't understand why my parents felt like it was a good idea to move us from Jersey to Oklahoma, like the armpit of America. But you know what? My dad said it was a spiritual calling to be there, and he had some spiritual work to do there. But I hate it. I hated every moment of living in them places. But I got my first, actually not my first job, but my first big company job was at Walmart. And I specifically chose to work there as a senior in high school because I knew that they had a program, I think it was called Next in Line or something like that, where if you're going to college, if you're a college student and working there, it's supposed to be a fast track to management, recognizing your educational efforts, things like that. And then there was something at the time where I could have like a leave of absence or something, so that when I was away at school, I could still keep my job. And whenever I could make it back there on the weekends, I could still work. And I remember starting out as a cashier. That is not the job I applied for, but that is the job that they basically let me know it's the only job you're going to get here. And it was because I was Black. I was Black and a girl. And that was a very racist place, Ardmore, Oklahoma. So racist that is where I learned what a sundown town was. Now, guys, I graduated high school in 2001. So this is still recent. And I had a friend that worked at Walmart. She was a white chick, and she said to me, "These towns outside of Ardmore are sundown towns." And I'm like, "What is that?" And she explained to me that it's still not safe for Black people to be in the towns that she lived in outside of Ardmore because the KKK was still very active. I'm like, "Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?" And in the year 2000. In the year 1999, 2000, 2001, like, she was dead ass. Like, I could not come visit her. And so we only saw each other at work in Ardmore. That's it. And the way that I was treated when I worked at that Walmart, I had to bury it, of course, because I had to get on and get on with what I had to do. And there was no room for me anywhere, not at home, not at work, not at school, anywhere for me to sit and cry about it or even talk about it. I just had to suck it up and deal with it. But I was treated very unfairly. And a lot of the Blacks at that time too the attitude was almost like, do y'all know y'all are free? Do y'all know? I don't think that they knew they were free down there. And the attitude was almost kind of like, I should just be glad I have a job. I'm like, really? Like, as in, like, I'm kind of being taught by Black people in that area, just be glad you have a job. Just, man, like, that's a really good thing. So I got this little promotion when I was in high school there. And first of all, I didn't apply to be a cashier. I wanted to do something else, but that's the only thing they would give me. And basically told me, like, this is your role. Like, this is where you belong. Like, pipe down. I remember getting a little promotion because I wanted to work in sales. So I got to the jewelry counter, which I found out we didn't even get any commission sales there. And that was like, really? But I was still proud. I'm a kid in high school, and I applied for another department and I got it. When I got promoted to the jewelry counter at Walmart, there was so much of an uproar. I'm thinking to myself, mind you, I'm from Jersey. Like, I really just didn't see, like, I saw very, very little racism. Not saying it doesn't exist up here, but I think there was only one incident and it was very isolated. And when it happened, it was like everybody, like the whites, the Dominicans, the Blacks, everybody, and maybe even their parents kind of like jumped them kids. Like, oh no, we don't do that here. Like, so it was not this commonplace thing. So in Oklahoma, like, thank you, honey. It's a completely different situation. So I get this job. I mean, I get this little promotion or whatever to work at their jewelry counter. And it was a big deal. There were Black people coming up to me acting like I just led somebody through the Underground Railroad or something, like, oh, this is such a big accomplishment. And when people saw me at the counter, I will never forget their reactions. Almost everyone was so, I could taste it. The Black people that would walk by and see me, the only Black person at that counter, they would light up and look at me like I was the great Black hope or something. It was crazy to me. And the white people that would see me at that counter would look absolutely disgusted. I mean, and the manager, she would never even give me the dignity. I don't remember her name. I just remember she had these old fashioned curls, like roller curls in her hair or something. That's all. And I think her hair was blonde. And she, maybe was in her 40s, mind you. I'm in high school. I'm a senior. So I was 16, maybe 17. I graduated when I was 17. And she would never even give me the dignity of looking me in my eyes like I'm another human being. She would never talk to me. She would talk at me. It was very clear that she was not happy that I was there. But I applied and I qualified. And I recall things happening that to me, even at that age, just didn't seem right. And there was one, and it seemed like it happened a couple of times until they were, and looking back, I know that it was a setup, until they were finally successful. There were two people who came in to ask to see some rings. And it happened to be when the manager left me alone at the counter. And I remember thinking to myself, I'm not comfortable with them because they kept asking to see rings and trying to do this. Like, I just remember thinking to myself, they're not to be trusted. I think they're going to try to steal. And they kept asking to see one ring and then another ring. And I'm like, wait, you need to wait until I close the counter, whatever. So something along the lines happened where maybe they were successful in stealing. I don't know to this day. Everything in my guts tells me that this was a setup. So a couple days later, I'm coming into work. And I get called into a manager's meeting. There was some white man in there I'd never seen before, a regional manager or something like that. And I think it was so intimidating being a child and getting called into the office. No prior warning. Mind you, I never had write-ups for anything, never late, always looking good. I don't recall the entire situation. I just know that I felt like I walked into an ambush. There were 2 or 3 people in the room, all white, and me. And they kept asking me question after question, not even allowing me to really answer it. And the questions were basically about that couple that I felt like something wasn't right with them. And I answered to the best of my ability. When it was all said and done, basically they said, the white man that I'd never seen before, he spoke to me in a way that was so diabolical. I'll never forget this.
Hey ladies, I'm here to introduce you to legal empowerment through Legal Shield and ID Shield. Did you know that with your membership, you get a free will and estate plan? That's right. Protect your future with legal protection at your fingertips. Whether you need a lawyer, want to protect your identity, or just want peace of mind, Legal Shield has you covered. As Black women, we know the importance of protecting ourselves and our families. And having the right legal support is essential. And it's not just about protection. Legal empowerment is also a great opportunity to build additional income. I'm looking for ambitious women to join Ladies of Justice, a community of powerful women making a difference. Join today and take control of your future. Contact me now and let's make sure you're covered, legally and financially.
He basically said that this was above me. I've never been working at that counter anyway, and that, someone stole or something on my watch, and that I should go back to scanning meatloaves. His exact words to me were, "You should go back to scanning meatloaves," or something. And he put me back into being a cashier. And I remember feeling so much hatred. It was the hate that they gave to me. I will never forget that feeling and those words. This is before I even became an adult. I'm like, wow, so this is what my life is going to be in this country, huh? And especially in this part of the country where it's a sin to be a Black person, and it's a sin to be a Black woman. And they hate me because of my ambition, because they hated me because I dared to say, I want this, I'm worthy of it, and go for it. And there were other things that happened. I remember being a senior in high school, the football games, people would sing the national anthem. And I sang the national anthem. And sometime that next week, the music teacher, I remember her calling me into a private little one-on-one conversation and apologizing to me. And I'm like, for what? So apparently when I sang the national anthem in the year 2000 or 2001, there were so many adults who were so offended by a Black girl, because that's something else they'll try to do is what's it called? Adultify you real quick. A Black girl exercising her gift, singing the national anthem, doing my own original rendition, of course, keeping the integrity of the melody, but doing what you're supposed to do as an artist, practice my artistry. There were so many complaints by these evil, inbred burgundy neck mother suckers complaining about a Black child singing the national anthem in Ardmore, Oklahoma, that the complaints got back to her, and she felt so terrible that she apologized to me for it. I had no idea until she said something, and the complaint was that I sang it too soulful. This is what it is to be Black in America. Watching this movie brought back so many of those emotions and so many experiences that I think I just never really processed and dealt with, because you can't. You just have to suck it up and keep it moving. There's essentially no safe spaces for us to be able to just breathe and be, because being a Black woman in America just by itself, that is considered, that army leader, that military leader, she was called a troublemaker. for expecting to have basic human dignity and respect. For if you're excellent, carrying yourself in excellence and expecting to be addressed as such. Being expected to be treated as who you are. That is something I've had to deal with my entire life. Being called difficult because I dare to just be who I am and expect to be treated as such. And expect to be treated fairly, because I go for what I want. I am a problem. This is what it is to be Black in America. If you don't just decide to bow down to the status quo where I lived was, here's another one. I lived in Kansas for 2 years. And I was working with my oldest daughter's godfather. He had founded a church there. Every once in a while, church business, writing grants, whatever. I wrote something. I don't recall what it was that I wrote, but one of the older ladies in the church, she was going over some of the paperwork I did or whatever. And she approached me and she said, "Oh my God, you did this? You did this? Oh my God, this is just as good as those white folks things." And I don't hold that against her, because she was an elderly lady and that's all she knew. But again, this was in the 2000s. This was not, in my parents' day. This is in my day that these were my experiences. And this was what we were expected to be as the status quo, to be like, just know your place. we're still expected to know our place and to be less than and to play less than. If I write something, oh my God, this is just as good as these white folks and what they write. Like, this mentality still exists in this country. And if you are, maybe it's considered a Yankee, and you don't decide to bow down to that type of mentality, and you don't decide to carry yourself like a good Negro, then you're a problem. You're an instigator. You are difficult. And you get those type of attacks. Watching the movie and watching how I still question, why do we even bother? I don't think I would have. As it pertains to that movie and the story. And I'm trying not to talk much about it because I really don't want to spoil it. It was amazing. But I do understand and respect that some people decide that they are going to bother. My grandfather, God rest his soul, he retired as a major, William Lawson Sr. I remember hearing about him ranking up in the Army, going to the officers club, a black man who earned that rank and being spit on by the white guys and the white officers, and then refusing to give him his due because he was a black man, and how dare you be here. My grandfather just passed away in 2017. This wasn't that long ago. What he had to go through as a black man soldier in the United States Army. The fight that we have always had, and the fight that we still have being in America, being black in America. Ooh, and add woman on top of that. It's a constant fight. So when people try to say, I'm sick of you throwing out the race card and blah, 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 literally fuck you. Okay? Because they're the reasons why a race card still exists. Because this stuff still exists. It's still here. Okay. My son and his punching. Say hi.
Hi.
I like your boxing gloves. Where'd you get them from?
Christmas.
You. That's right, from me. Not by Santa Mommy. I sat here, and this movie brought me to tears a couple of times. It was a good moment. Let me go back to the whole soldier thing. I understand why lots of those soldiers decided to bother, why they decided to go, why they knew that they were being set up for failure and they still fought. And although it's not something that I can see myself doing, I appreciate them doing it and them going on the front line in that regard in order to get us to where we are today. Because if they didn't, then man, things would be even worse. So I appreciate what my grandfather did. I appreciate what my father did. I appreciate first and foremost, I honor those women soldiers. And I'm so glad that their story was told, because I would have never known. This is not something I was ever taught in the history books on the East Coast or in the South. This is not something that I even learned about in college. The real history. And this is why critical race theory is important. This is why we cannot allow these redcoats to take over our schools. And if they do, this is why homeschool is so important, because the truth usually gets suppressed by a very racist society that we still live in. We need to know this story. We need to know, and we need to see, and my daughters need to see, my son needs to see, that we are more than what the dominant society still tries to show a lot of black women as: over-sexualized, just entertainment, and that's it. In closing, I'll say again, I'm grateful, and I want to share, I guess, that same feeling with other black women who feel like I feel, that we're going to be all right. We are seen. Eventually, the light is shown on the truth of who we are, what we do. Stop it. Our value, our worth. It always comes out. I feel like for us, it comes out. Retribution is way too late, too often. Yes.
I burned 8 calories.
Oh, awesome. That's really cool. Very cool. But it always comes to the light. This is our time maybe to rest, to just take care of each other, focus on each other. That's what I'm doing.
I have 2 watches.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. All right. They're vying for my attention, so
I bet
that means it's time for me to go.